Welcome to the Unfuck Your Fitness podcast. I am your host, Christy Castillo, and I'm here to give you real talk and cut the BS so you can actually enjoy building a body you love. I'm a personal trainer obsessed with giving you simple action steps to take you from feeling stuck to feeling sexy. Let's go.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to today's episode. Welcome to 2026. Welcome to the happy fucking new year rebrand of Unfuck Your Fitness. I am extremely excited about the rebrand, about what's happening in 2026, about the challenges, about the changes to the podcast, about not changes to the podcast as far as information, but just bringing video to YouTube, just different things that are going to be piling on this year. I'm also super nervous and overwhelmed. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Along with excitement comes a lot of fear and a lot of overthinking and a lot of who am I to be able to do this? But I have to remind myself, like I have reminded myself so many times, that fear sometimes is just excitement packaged a little bit differently. And I am super excited. So I have been brainstorming to create these January episodes for you guys. ChatGPT and I have been going just around because it seems like I have my best ideas in the shower or out for a walk or in my car, like somewhere where I'm not. I guess on a walk, I would be able to get out my phone and type, but I don't really want to do that when I'm out for a walk, right? So I will open my phone, open ChatGPT and just start talking, just putting a sentence out there. I'm out for a walk. I had this really good idea and I just wanted to save it here. And I will just word vomit, either doing the talk to type, or you can do the speaking version where I'm speaking to ChatGPT and then it speaks back to me. But either way, my thought is just to get something out into ChatGPT instead of putting it in my notes section, because then Chat can kind of say, this goes really well with what we've been talking about in December. I draft all of my podcast episode notes inside of ChatGPT because I want to make sure that it's a good flow. I want to make sure that it's going with other things that I need to create content for. So anyway, I have now created 3 different versions of episodes for January, and I am really excited about what we're going to be talking about here. Everything felt authentic, but then it was like another week would go by and I would have another aha moment of, no, this is what I want to talk about in January. It just continued to get more and more authentic to me and what I really wanted to speak about. So we are going to dive in. I am going to be doing 4 episodes, I guess, all of January. I'm going to be doing kind of a series, a self-trust series, building confidence series, I guess I want to call it. I don't want to technically label it that yet. I don't know. It's still kind of building in my brain, but I'm just really excited to bring my thoughts to you and just get them out to you and say them in a way that I want to say it, and help you to be able to start January differently this year, like not every other year, because it's January. Like it's loud in terms of fitness and in terms of health and in terms of the world that I work in. It's loud. People are talking about it's the new year, new me, new year, new you. You know, start with motivation, start with momentum, New Year's resolutions, we're making goals, it's just like, it's all of these things that, it's not that I don't like the idea of goals and those types of things, but it's not anything that I want to do. Everybody has a plan and a detox and a challenge, and so do I. But a new personality, it seems like we're, literally new year, new me. And it's all about motivation and throwing away the old version of you. But how? It's like we never really dive into what that even means. What is a detox going to do for you? What is a brand new plan and changing everything about your life and what you do? How is that going to help you? And can you even do that in the first week of the year, and continue on with that? So if you're anything like me, that noise can feel motivating for a minute, and then life actually smacks you in the face and you're no longer motivated and your plan didn't work and you've just thrown a couple $100 at supplements after a very expensive Christmas season. And now you're feeling like, here we go again. And here goes another January where I messed up, right? And so I'm just going to say it, even though it's not so fun to hear. New Year energy doesn't last, and I'm not here for it. And I'm here for it in terms of it's a clean slate and let's start over kind of after the holidays. Let's get back to work and get back to school and back to routine. I'm okay with like the clean feeling of it, back to routine, but I'm not okay with that New Year's energy overall of brand new me, brand new start. Let's throw everything out. Let's start over. Starting on Monday, I'm starting January 1. Like it's a lot. And so I don't like it. It doesn't last. And I wish more people would talk about the fact that it doesn't last. It just doesn't. If New Year's energy lasted, we would be like just making gains on gains on gains year after year after year, right? We would all be flourishing. We would all be healed emotionally. We'd all be rich. We'd all be ripped. We'd all be like, it just doesn't, because we set all of these New Year's resolutions when energy is high, thinking, oh yeah, it's January 1st, new year, new me. I can do all these things. And then again, life smacks you in the face and the reality hits of, oh, I actually haven't changed one single thing. So what makes me think that I can do this? And you already know that because every single year, the same thing happens. Motivation spikes. You feel really good. You feel ready. You're making promises to yourself. Other people around you are talking this way. And then 2 weeks later, maybe even at this point, you're listening to this podcast, life has shown up. And you're thinking, why can't I just stick with this? Here I go again. And so that's exactly why I wanted to talk about this topic right now, this month, because we're going to fix that. And that's why I kind of called it the self-trust, self-confidence series. It's a little bit about what I've built on in the habits challenge. It's all about habits, yes, but it was also about that confidence and trust, because you can't continue to do habits unless you love, trust, and are confident in yourself. And it's the same thing with this. So I really don't want to talk about New Year energy, and it's January. And so maybe this podcast isn't like others in the sense that you're not going to be hearing things right now from me that you're probably hearing from other people. But I want to really make this change for you. I want this year to be the year that you do start over, but differently, not just start over and set new goals, but actually become the person who follows through with those goals, because that is what I believe when I think about what fitness has done for me and what getting fit, getting more confident, getting more consistent, this fitness journey, what it has done for me. It's so much more than just physical. It's about being the person that follows through. It's about being the woman who does things even if I'm not motivated, even if I'm cold, even if I'm hungry, even if I'm tired. It's about the woman who trusts myself. My body trusts me. I trust myself to keep myself safe and do the things that I said I was going to do. And that is exactly what I want to talk to you about in this episode. So we are going to talk in this episode about a couple of things. Why New Year motivation doesn't stick, why hype actually hurts consistency, how to ground yourself instead of powering up, what actually creates follow through, and the foundation for everything we're doing in January. I've mapped this out in my brain with ChatGPT in my notes section, in my phone, and then in my notes section in Google Drive. I have it all mapped out, and this is the foundation of what we're going to be talking about throughout January. So consider this the why what you've been doing hasn't been working episode. That's essentially what we're going to be talking about here, because I don't just want to get into here's what you have to do to make it work. I want you to also know why it hasn't worked. I think that's really important to set the tone. So you don't have to blame yourself necessarily and say, I just can't do this and feel stuck. You're really going to feel like you know why it hasn't worked in the past. So let's start by talking about why New Year energy is a trap. I feel like it's just a trap, and it just traps you for a little while, but you do feel stuck because you are, and it's kind of a good stuck, right? You're motivated and you feel really, really good for about 2 weeks, and then it's gone. And it's a trap. It's a false sense of excitement. It's a false sense of change. It's a false sense of, I'm going to do it this year. And it keeps you trapped. And I want to talk about why. So everyone feels motivated in January, and that's not something that I hate necessarily. Like I said, I like the feeling of it, feeling clean and feeling new and fresh. But that motivation is usually very emotion based. And It's not action-based. And emotions do not create results. Action creates results. So when you're feeling very motivated and you're making lists and you're cleaning and you're setting goals and all of those types of things, it's emotional-based motivation. It's not an action-based. You making lists and you talking to yourself and your friends about what you're going to accomplish this year is great, but it's not doing anything. But it's giving you a sense that you are, if that makes sense. You're feeling like, oh, I'm doing so much. I've just accomplished so much. I have this huge list. But you haven't done anything, but you feel like you have. So that's where it keeps you stuck. This motivation also is seasonal. Consistency is identity, and this motivation is seasonal. So I want you to kind of notice the difference here. When you are consistent, that's who you are as a person. You identify as a consistent person who shows up for yourself. Motivation is very seasonal. It's very temporary. You are not a motivated person. You are a consistent person. You are a dedicated person. That switch I really want you to make right now. The way you view yourself and your lifestyle needs to change, okay? You have to change the way you view yourself, not waiting for motivation, but being someone who is consistent and who shows up rather than waiting for that motivation. So you have to change, or you need to change. You should change. I won't tell you what to do, but you should change the way you view yourself and your lifestyle. And stop even thinking about the word motivation. The word motivation has not entered my brain without someone asking me, how do you stay motivated? Without someone bringing that word to me, it never pops up in my vocabulary. I am not motivated. I'm not waiting for motivation. I don't even want to talk about it. It is not even a thing to me. I am consistent. I have habits. I do the things. That's it. So I want you to change the way that you view yourself and your lifestyle. And I want you to stop waiting for motivation. That's another reason that this time of year is a trap. January creates a false high, like I was talking about, a new planner, new goals, new energy, new supplements, new routine. But none of that is a system. It's all new things. It's all a quick thing that you think, oh, I bought these things and I started these things, right? That's a false sense of action. That's you feeling motivated. That's your motivation for 2 weeks, saying, okay, I'm going to do this, do this, do this, do this. You have all the things in front of you. Now you have to take the supplements. Now you have to maintain that energy. Now you have to use the planner. Now you have to work towards your goals and you have to stick to that routine. Well, guess what? You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. What you're going to do is play with those fun, shiny objects that you bought for 2 weeks. And then that's it. Nothing else is going to change because you haven't changed who you are at the core and you haven't changed how you view yourself. I heard something just yesterday in a podcast about money, but it kind of relates here. I thought it was really, really good. I actually stopped and rewound and listened to it a couple times in my car. She said, I don't know word for word, but she said basically that throwing money at something won't make you take action. And I thought that was really smart. She was actually talking about budgeting and, saving your money. And she was talking about it in the sense that if you go purchase I think she was talking about Solid Core, but any expensive gym membership, if you go throw money at a gym membership saying, okay, I want to do this. It's a really expensive gym. If I spend this much money, I will go to the gym. Well, you won't because you haven't changed your time. You haven't changed how you view yourself. You haven't changed your priorities. You haven't changed anything. All you did was purchase the membership. So throwing money at something, right? A new planner, new supplements, new routine, new gym membership, new clothes, new workout shoes, all of that. It's fun. It makes you feel motivated for a second, like, oh, I just bought new gym clothes, so I'm ready to go to the gym. But when are you going to go? And why are you going? What are you going to do when you get there, right? Throwing money at something doesn't make you take action. And I thought that was so good. You have to fix the action part first. And then another reason is the New Year high tricks you into thinking that you're ready, which is, again, what we kind of just talked about, when you've actually changed absolutely nothing. This is that feeling that I have always had, which is why you will never see me posting about changing anything in the new year or in my real life. Like of course, I'm like rebranding. I'm not talking about things like that, little things, but I don't change anything. I don't buy new supplements. I don't buy new clothes. I mean, they were on sale for like Black Friday, so I bought some of those things, but I don't change anything. I don't like that. It's a false sense of hope. It's a false sense of hope. It's a false sense of action. And that new year, mindset, if I'm saying new year, new programming, new year, new shoes, new year, new you, change everything, throw out the old, it's not going to work. And I have never, ever bought into that. Well, I should say I have. But since I've really changed my mindset and viewed my lifestyle differently, I've not bought into that. And that's why I don't post anything about the new year or Mondays or anything like that, because I think it's bullshit. I think once you change your mindset and your lifestyle, you just kind of clean everything out in January, but it's not magical, right? January isn't magical. It's literally a Monday, like on steroids. It's like I'm starting Monday, but it's like I'm starting January 1st. I'm going to do this, this, and this. No, you're not. You're just saying that you're going to do that. But when life returns to normal and you're not excited or motivated anymore, that consistency falls right away. And so this is why starting in January feels good, but it doesn't work. And I'm not saying to not feel good. I'm saying, of course, feel good. It's January, fresh start. Take that energy and apply it to what we're going to be talking about, because there's nothing magical about January 1st. And you all know that by now. If you can look at previous January 1sts, nothing's magical about it. Nothing has changed unless you specifically have made a drastic change and made the choice to do that day after day after day after day. That is the only way that things have changed for you. So now I want to talk about why you keep starting over. Most women don't follow through because we rely on our emotions and excitement, a new class, right? We rely on feeling happy. We rely on pressure from a friend to get started. We rely on shame, feeling like our clothes don't fit, feeling like we indulged too much over the holidays. We rely on emotions, that excitement, that pressure, that shame, instead of relying on clarity and standards for yourself. So don't rely on a new class or your friends or feeling bad about yourself. Rely on yourself. Rely on being clear on what you want and rely on standards. So that's the reason you keep starting over, is because you started class with your friend and they don't want to do it anymore. Or you felt like shit about yourself. So you thought, I have really got to start starving myself so I fit into my clothes again. Well, you're not going to do that forever. And that's not going to work. And eventually you're not going to care how you feel in those jeans. You're going to get hungry. Or you feel like you're excited about this class. Well, that excitement wears off and then you keep starting over. So it's that reliance on emotion versus clarity and intentionality. Motivation fades, guilt shows up, then avoidance kicks in, and then you start over. That's the cycle. Your motivation fades, middle of January. Guilt shows up and you think, I cannot do this. Every January, this happens. And then you avoid because you're like, well, now I don't know what to do. And I feel kind of stupid because I'm a grown-ass woman and I can't make this work. And then you start over maybe in February, right? Because that feels cleaner than just continuing messy or starting now on a Thursday or whatever it is. It feels better to start in February. And that's why you keep starting and that go through that process and then quitting, and then you keep starting over. You don't lack motivation, you lack self-trust. Another reason that you keep starting over is because you keep waiting to be motivated. And it's not that you're necessarily lacking that motivation. It's that motivation isn't something that you can even have. So you're not really lacking it. You either have to create it constantly or you just self-trust that you have consistency in your body. You are someone who is consistent. You are someone who shows up. You have that self-trust to be able to go and do the things that you said you were going to do for yourself because you were clear on what you wanted and you had standards for what you are and are not going to do this year. So you have that self-trust, which is I do what I say I'm going to do, regardless if I'm excited, regardless if my friend is going, regardless if I'm motivated, cold like I am in my garage this time of year, tired, etc. You have that self-trust, so it doesn't matter what anybody else is doing and it doesn't matter if you're motivated. So you're not inconsistent. You just don't believe your own promises anymore. You have done this so many times to yourself that it's like we keep setting these New Year's resolutions, knowing full well that we have no idea how to achieve them and no real intention into achieving them. We don't really intend to do that. We just kind of want to say it. And then if it happens, it happens. That would be amazing. That's what I want, but I don't really know how to do it. So right off the bat, we don't believe any of these things that we're saying to ourselves, but we just go along with it because everybody else is setting a resolution and it's New Year's resolution setting season. So that's what we're doing. But January goals, we usually fall off because they're based on who you wish you were, not who you currently are. When you set a New Year's resolution or a January goal, you're setting it like, I am going to get myself out of debt this year because that's what I want. I'm going to get really fit this year because that's what I want. That's not who you are. You're not someone who manages their money wisely. You're not someone who counts their macros and gets their workouts in. You wish that's who you were. That is a huge, huge problem. Like that alone, when I realize that for myself, and I'll say things now even, I want this and this and this for my business. And I'm like, then I look at myself and say, you don't have your day set up to do that. You're not disciplined enough right now to do that. Or you're a mom first right now and you can do this later. This is not the person that you are. So let's back up and look at this realistically and say, what am I able to do right now? Not what do I wish I was able to do right now. So that is something that's not only January, but that it can be carried out through the rest of your life. But that is a reason that you keep starting over, is because you're setting goals for someone that you're not yet. You have to become that person first before you can have those things. So that right there creates pressure instead of momentum. It's like, oh, I feel like I need to take immediate action. And then I feel better when I do. But this leaves me feeling worse. It leaves me feeling like, why can't I do this? This is what I want, but I keep messing it up. It's because that's not who you are yet. You haven't mastered the foundation. You haven't mastered the basics, which is what we're talking about right here. So now I want to talk about what actually creates that consistency. Because if you don't have that consistency, you're not going to do anything different this year. You're going to continue to do all of the things that I just talked about, everything that you've done at previous Januaries of just making the list, buying the supplements, throwing money at things, planning things that you wish you could do, or maybe you want to do this year. Maybe it's not like, oh, I wish I could get out of debt this year. It's like, I want to get out of debt this year. Cool. But are you someone who wants to track their spending and not eat out so much and say no to other activities and cancel memberships? If you're not, then you're probably not going to change much financially. Do you kind of see what I'm saying here? I hope that makes sense. So this is what actually creates that consistency. Number one, identity. And ask yourself these questions. I think these are super, super important. Identity. Who are you? Who actually are you? Not who do you want to be? Not who you do wish you were. Who are you? Number two is clarity. What do you want? Who are you first? Because you have to know who you are to know what you actually want. Number three, what are your standards? What will you accept going forward? We've identified who you are. So who will that person, or what will that person accept going forward? Not the previous version of you, not the version that you want to be. Who the fuck are you? And what does that person really want? And what will that person accept going forward from other people and from yourself? Number four, what is your minimum effective dose? We're talking about this a lot. What does your busiest day look like? That sets your foundation. Repetition, what can you do on repeat? The version that you are right now, what does your minimum day look like? That's what you can do on repeat. Yes, you can add in more on your most flexible days and your maximum effective dose days, right? When you have a shit ton of time to yourself. But repetition, what can you do on repeat? Next, following through on small commitments. You have to figure out how to do the shit that you say you're going to do. Okay. That is number six. Following through on small commitments. How are you going to do that? Small commitments to yourself. How are you going to do the things that you say you're going to do? Don't just say, I'm going to get out of debt and I'm going to start this workout class and I'm going to eat less and I'm going to move more and how are you going to do that? These are small commitments that you're making to yourself. How are you going to do it? Ask that version of yourself that you are right now. How are we going to do this? And then lastly, you have to have self-respect over self-punishment when it comes to this fitness journey. You have to do this for the right reasons. It has to be out of self-respect over self-punishment. So we need to start respecting ourselves. We need to start setting standards for ourselves. We need to be clear on what we want and what we are able to do. And then we need to do that out of respect, not punishment. Okay, it's like if you want to get out of debt, you're not being punished by not going out as much and saying no to extracurricular activities and budgeting your money. That's self-respect. That's a standard. That's clarity on who you are and what you want. So that section right there is really important because that is what actually creates consistency. If you just write down on a piece of paper what your New Year's resolutions are, and then you lose that piece of paper, that used to be me. Like, where did I write down those goals for myself? Well, I'm not even an organized enough person to keep a list. So what makes me think I'm organized enough to change my life or my body? So those things right there are what matters most, because that consistency freaking matters. Consistency isn't about trying harder. It's about becoming the woman who naturally shows up. I tell myself this all the time. It's not about me doing more or trying harder. It's about being the woman that I say I am, that shows up for herself naturally. On my minimum days, what can I do that still moves the needle forward? That is what consistency means to me. It's not about the shit that you say you're going to do or be consistent with. It's about who you are. And that sets the bottom line. It sets the foundation that you have to know. Okay, so let's break down the identity and the standards part of what I was just talking about. A quick identity shift that I say for myself is consistency isn't about trying harder. It's about becoming the person that you want to be. It's not about the shit that you say you're going to do. It's about who you are. So instead of just making a list of resolutions and goals and saying, this is what I want this year, this is what I'm going to do this year, instead of doing that, when you walk through the previous 7 steps that I just asked you about, that is your identity. It's not about trying harder. It's about becoming the person that you say you are. It's about becoming that person. You have to say this is who you are, and then you have to start becoming that person. Without the identity shift, it's just a list of notes in your notes app or on a piece of paper, and that's not going to work. So identity and then standards are really important as well. Standards don't rely on motivation. Standards don't rely on you feeling amazing. Standards tell you what you will no longer tolerate. I love that. I love to have my standards wrote down. This is what I'm not going to tolerate from myself. I'm not going to tolerate my own bullshit, and I'm not going to tolerate other people's bullshit. Standards really, really tell you what you will no longer tolerate. And I really think that's important, because when you decide what you will no longer tolerate from yourself and other people, it gives you the freedom to just move on saying, I said I'm not going to tolerate that this year. It's an absolute no from me. And standards also simplify your life for that exact reason. When you have them in place of, okay, I'm doing this, whether I'm motivated or not, I'm not putting up with this, and this from myself or other people. That's it. It's so simple to then have your standards and know who you are. And that is the basis of consistency. If you know who you are, what you will tolerate, and what you're going to do, and you're going to do it no matter what, because you can do it even on a minimum effective dose day because you have the time, that is what creates consistency. And that is what will actually change your year instead of those fancy objects and New Year's resolutions. So now I want to talk about what to do instead of new year, new me. And I need to buzz through these because I'm yakking a lot, which I love, but I do want to get through these. So this is more of a practical takeaway section, but it's what to think instead of, because I know it's so common to just think it's January, new year, new me, shiny objects, all the things that we just talked about. Instead of that, I want you to move forward with intention. I don't want you to move forward with intensity. So January doesn't have to require intensity. It doesn't have to require all of that pressure. I want you to drop the pressure. I want you to do it with intention. We're starting this year differently than the others. You have to set the foundation right here in this month, in this week. Dropping the pressure isn't about lowering your standards. It's about removing the fake deadlines, the perfectionism, the all or nothing mindset, and the belief that everything has to change right now, which is the belief that you've believed every January up until this point. This January, I have to set my resolutions. I have to clean everything. I have to start my gym routine. I have to start tracking macros. I have to do, right? It's a lot of pressure. I want you to drop that and drop the intensity and realize I need to do this intentionally or nothing's going to change. Release all of that pressure. It's kind of like you don't have to drop the bar, just lower the bar a little bit. It's the same type of thing here, okay? Pressure doesn't create consistency. It actually kills it. When you are just like, it's beginning of January. It's the 5th day of January. I am already behind. You're done. When you already think you're behind, you're done. You might as well forget it. Because you are putting so much pressure on yourself to do things that you are not ready to do. You're not that version of yourself yet. You haven't set the foundation. that consistency is gone and you can kiss it goodbye. Because if you are so full of pressure on yourself, consistency can't live there. Clarity, identity, self-trust, that's what creates consistency. And that's the whole point of this January series. So the first thing I want you to do instead of that new year, new me mentality is drop the pressure. Number 2, I want you to choose one non-negotiable this week, not 5, not 10. I don't want you to have a spreadsheet. I want you to choose one small thing that you can't fail at because you need trust in yourself for this week. So this week, I want you to choose either, I wrote down some examples, protein at 2 meals, a 10-minute walk, 3 workouts per week, an earlier bedtime window, staying off social media so that you actually have time to plan what I'm talking about and set the foundation, and drinking your damn water. That's what I put, drinking your damn water. Feisty. I want you to keep something in mind when you are setting one of these because they all sound easy, right? So if you are someone who's like, okay, I don't really have time to get in 3 workouts per week because you're choosing one of these, remember, one. Yeah, I can't get in 3 workouts this week, so I'll choose the protein at 2 meals. That seems like it's not going to take a lot of time. It's not a 10-minute walk, right? It's protein at 2 meals. Think, do you have the protein? If you have protein at 2 meals, now you're going to have to think, which meals am I going to have the protein at? What am I going to have for protein? Do I need to prep the protein? Do I need to buy the protein? There's a lot that goes into that. That's why I say think, plan, be intentional, be clear. If you're like, nope, I can't do that. Maybe a 10-minute walk is better. Or maybe you do a 5-minute walk in the morning and a 5-minute walk in the afternoon. Or maybe you just don't do physically anything. What you do is just have an earlier bedtime window. That doesn't cost any money. It's not really any thought. You just set alarm on your phone for an hour earlier than it is now for your bedtime routine, and you do it earlier. Or staying off social media. That's a really good one. Or drink some damn water. So be intentional when you're saying, okay, for me, if I were to say earlier bedtime window sounds really easy, it's not because I have basketball games in the evenings. I can't go to bed any earlier on those days. So that won't work for me. What works for me is staying off social media, drinking my damn water. I can't get in an extra 10-minute walk. Protein I need to be better at. So I'm even looking through these things. That's why I put them in here and thought just one thing this week that you can do. But be intentional when you're choosing them because they all sound easy until you go to do them and you're like, wait, I can't go to bed any earlier. I have basketball games, or I can't have protein at 2 meals. I'm gone every day this week, and I don't have any items with me. Now I have to go to the store. So be intentional. That's what I mean by planning, listening, writing down, thinking, intentionality. Okay. That is what consistency comes down to. Next, I want to talk about what consistency actually means. And I want you to define that for yourself this week. So not perfection, consistency. If you don't define what consistency actually is for you and slow down and think, what am I actually capable of? Your brain fills that blank with perfection. It'll start to think, and this is why you suck, and this is why you can't do anything. And that's why you keep quitting. It's not because you're inconsistent. It's because you set standards that you can't meet and maybe no one could even meet. So consistency is just doing what you said you would do. That's it. And you have to be able to realize that you have to be at a point in your life when you can do said things consistently, right? You don't have to do things perfectly. You don't have to do everything. It's not about hitting every target every single day. That's why I didn't say choose 5 things or choose 3 of these things. It's about showing up at a level that you can maintain on your busiest weeks, on your craziest, messiest weeks. I can stay off of social media more, or I can drink water, right? That's what it means. So consistency is the baseline version of you that honors your standards, keeps your promises, and chooses progress instead of that all or nothing mentality that we're getting away from. So I want you to define what consistency looks for you. You can do that in your notes section. You can do it on a piece of paper. And I would love for you to screenshot it and send it to me on Instagram at Christy Castillo Fit. Tell me what consistency means to you. And this will change throughout the year. It will change maybe weekly, maybe every Sunday you define, what does consistency mean for me this week? That causes that momentum. It causes self-trust. It causes consistency. Next, I want you to think of playing the long game, not the New Year's game. So just get New Year's out of your head, get motivation out of your head. Those are 2 things we don't do. We don't do New Year's resolutions anymore, and we just don't do that. Okay, we're not doing that anymore, and we don't do motivation. We're not doing it. So if you think about the long game, you can't fail at it. The only way you fail at the long game is if you quit. And you won't quit if you trust yourself because you're doing this out of self-respect. You've set standards for yourself. This version of you is self-trusting. This version of you is confident. This version of you has a solid foundation. This version of you has clarity. And it knows, this version of you knows exactly what it wants. And you can't quit if that's what happened. That's what I mean when people come to me and they're like, how do you do this? Motivation. You've been doing this for 15 years. You've been working out. And that's exactly how, because I have just thought, well, I'm never going to stop doing this, period. I'm going to have to work out whether I'm sick, injured, whatever my goal is, whatever my physical state is, wherever I'm at in the world, like whatever it is, I'm going to work out and I'm going to track my macros. So I'm never going to quit. I'm never going to fail. I'm never going to stop. That is exactly how you win at this. So let me wrap this up by kind of setting up the scene for the rest of this series. Again, self-trust. I'm just talking some real talk, spitting some truths to you, saying it like it is. I want to talk a little bit about what we are going to be doing with this self-trust and the identity and the standards and the clarity. I would say those are the 4 things that I really want to drill home here this month is the self-trust, identity, standards, and clarity. Imagine, those are beautiful words when you think about it. I want you to have those things for yourself. I don't want us to set impossible goals. We're not doing detoxes. We're not buying crazy supplements. Do not, for the love of God, do not buy a detox. Do not buy anything for cortisol. Do not buy anything for fat loss. Just do not. You have got to master the basics and you've got to learn to fucking trust yourself or any of that stuff will not work. And it may not even work if you do trust yourself because you don't need it, quite frankly. So do not do that. Okay. We're not burning ourselves out by week 3 of January. We are rebuilding self-trust. That way, none of those shiny objects even look appealing because you're like, I don't need it. I don't care. I'm good, right? I know how to do this. So that is exactly what we're going to be doing. Next week, we're talking about clarity and why you don't need necessarily a ton of new goals. You need to know exactly what you want and exactly what following through actually looks like. And I want to really dive into this. And I'm really excited to do kind of like my favorite time of coaching sessions here. I can't stress this enough. If you don't know what you want, and if you don't know how to get what you want, you won't get it. If you don't know where you're going, and if you don't have a map to get there, what the fuck are you doing? If you have no clue where you're going or what you're doing, you have no map to get there. Are you in the car? Where are you going? Do you have a routine? What are you doing? What are you doing? We have to know what we are doing. And that drives me crazy when I get very big questions. And I understand I used to have these questions too. How do I burn fat? How do I get this body? How do I tone? And those are great questions. And there's no stupid questions. It's just, if you don't know what your goal is and you don't know how to get there, what are you doing? That's the problem, is you don't know. And so I want to make you very, very clear. So we're going to be talking about, for example, if you want to look stronger, you have to grow muscle, not run faster. Okay. We're not looking at speed. We're not looking at jogging if you want to grow muscle and look stronger. So if you want to lose fat, for example, another example, you need to be in a calorie deficit. But if you're already consuming less calories than your body even needs to run properly, you won't lose fat. So that's the clarity that I'm talking about. You have to be clear on what you want, and then you have to be clear about everything around it, and then you have to intentionally move forward towards that. Sometimes it takes a step back. Maybe you have to reverse diet before you cut. Maybe you have to stop running so much and build some muscle if you want to look strong. I'm not saying runners don't look strong, but I'm saying for me personally, if I'm like, I want to look stronger, and then I go run 6 miles a day, like, I just want to get a faster 6-mile time. Well, that's not going to help me look stronger. It's going to help me run faster and look faster, but it's not going to help me look stronger. So we have to be very, very, very clear. And these are some of the things that I'm going to be talking about. And I'm really excited to break that down for you. But this month is going to change how you show up for yourself, not just in January, not even just this year, but all year, every year from now on. And I'm super excited about this little series, this little sequence of episodes that I have put together for you. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know it was a little all over the place. I know it's not traditional. I know it's a lot, but I really wanted to set the scene for what we're going to be diving into going forward. So your homework for this week is to define what consistency looks like for you and send it to me. But do that after you have asked yourself those 7 questions, which I will go through one more time for you. And they are 1, identity. Who are you? 2, clarity. What do you really want? 3, standards. What will you accept going forward? 4, minimum effective dose. What does your busiest day look like and what can you accomplish? Number 5, repetition. What can you do on repeat on those days to move the needle forward? Number 6, you have to follow through on small commitments. So you have to figure out how to do the shit you say you're going to do, not just say you're going to do it. And then number 7, self-respect over self-punishment. You have to do this for good reasons. You can't do this out of hate for yourself. You have to do this because you love yourself. You want to change. You want this year to actually be different, and it will, but you have to move with intentionality, not intensity. I almost messed that up. So I'm really excited about this year. I keep saying that, but the rebrand is going to be amazing. It's breathing new life into me for topics and for what I really want to talk to you about, things that actually matter. And I'm super excited for you to walk along this journey with me. So I will talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to today's show. Go ahead and leave a rating and a review. And of course, follow the podcast so you don't miss out on any future episodes. And I would love it so much if you came to connect with me over on Instagram at Christy Castillo Fit. I will see you next time.